She vanished without a trace from a cruise ship in the middle of paradise, and for 27 years, Amy Bradley's name has haunted headlines, sparked countless theories, and kept her family locked in a nightmare without an ending. But now, with a chilling new Netflix series, bringing her story back into the global spotlight, new clues, old mistakes, and deeply unsettling details are emerging that could finally crack this case open. From suspicious surveillance gaps to disturbing eyewitness reports, this isn't just another missing persons case, it's a mystery, tangled in silence, cover-ups, and a terrifying theory no one wanted to believe. So, what really happened to Amy Lynn Bradley? And could the answers still be out there? The chilling timeline of the disappearance. It started like any dream vacation, a Caribbean cruise, warm waters, and a family ready to unwind. But by the morning of March 24th, 1998, that dream shattered. Amy Lynn Bradley, a 23-year-old with a bright future, had vanished from the Royal Caribbean ship Rhapsody of the Seas without a trace. The night before, Amy had been seen dancing at the ship's club with crew members. Hours later, she was spotted briefly by her father lounging on the balcony around 5:30 a.m. And then, nothing. No commotion, no splash, no alarms. Just silence. What followed was a timeline full of disturbing blanks. The cruise ship delayed notifying authorities. Doors were not sealed. Passengers weren't thoroughly questioned. And instead of staying docked, the ship continued its voyage. By the time a full-scale search began, valuable hours, possibly the only ones that mattered, were already lost. The cruise line's early assumption? That Amy had fallen overboard, but her family immediately pushed back, knowing that Amy was a trained lifeguard who wouldn't have made such a fatal mistake, especially with her sandals left behind in the room. As time passed, the timeline became even more tangled. Unconfirmed sightings of Amy surfaced in Curaçao and other Caribbean locations, some disturbingly detailed, involving a woman matching her description who appeared to be under duress. But every lead brought more questions than answers. What happened during those early hours? Who did she speak to last? And did the cruise line's failure to act quickly doom any chance of rescue? The timeline doesn't just tell a story, it exposes the cracks in a system unprepared for a mystery this chilling. Family theories versus official investigations. From the very beginning, Amy Bradley's disappearance has lived in two parallel worlds: what her family believes happened and what the official investigations concluded. Her family has never accepted the simple, accidental, overboard theory peddled in the early hours of the case. In fact, they've fought it tooth and nail, pointing out Amy's strong swimming skills, her cautious nature, and the many suspicious details that point in a very different direction. Their theory? That Amy was taken, either abducted by someone on the ship or lured off once docked with the intent to traffic her. Meanwhile, official investigations have often felt like a game of catch-up. The cruise line was slow to act, and once the FBI got involved, jurisdictional red tape and delays meant that precious time and potential evidence was lost. Authorities have at times appeared dismissive of the more sensational leads, including eyewitness accounts of Amy being spotted alive years later. For the family, every sighting was hope renewed. For officials, they were often viewed as unreliable or unprovable. The disconnect between emotional urgency and procedural caution became one of the most frustrating aspects of the case. This clash between personal conviction and institutional protocol turned the Bradleys into investigators themselves. They chased down tips, hired private detectives, and even appeared on television, pleading for information. Their theories are detailed, emotional, and built on a foundation of lived experience, while the official narrative has often felt clinical and incomplete. In the battle between gut instinct and governmental fact-finding, the line between truth and theory has become heartbreakingly blurred. Is human trafficking the most likely theory? Of all the theories surrounding Amy Bradley's chilling disappearance, the possibility of human trafficking has emerged as both the most disturbing and, to many, the most convincing. Unlike accidental falls or voluntary disappearances, trafficking carries with it a horrifying logic: motive, opportunity, and method. Amy was a young, attractive, athletic woman traveling through the Caribbean, a region known to be a hotbed for illicit trafficking operations. Add to that multiple alleged sightings of her in sexually exploitative contexts after she vanished, and this theory begins to feel less like speculation and more like a dark possibility that was overlooked far too long. Her family's insistence on this theory wasn't just emotional, it was driven by patterns. Amy had expressed discomfort with crew members on the ship, and there are stories that one of them was seen getting too close for comfort the night she disappeared. Combine this with the lack of security footage, the mishandled initial response from the cruise line, and the ship's immediate cleaning of her cabin, and it paints a picture not of coincidence, but of a potential cover-up. Trafficking doesn't just happen in alleyways or foreign cities, it can start in broad daylight, even on a luxury cruise liner. If this theory holds weight, and many believe it does, it suggests a failure at multiple levels: corporate, legal, and international. But beyond the systemic issues, it's the personal horror that lingers. Amy may have been alive for years after her disappearance, forced into a life unimaginable. And if true, this isn't just a missing persons case. It's a human rights tragedy that went unanswered for over 2 decades. Could Amy still be alive? A look at the latest evidence. It's the question that refuses to go quiet, even after 27 long years. Could Amy Bradley still be alive? For many, the idea seems far-fetched after so much time. But for her family and those who've closely followed her case, it's not just a possibility, it's a driving force. Numerous sightings over the years, including one from a former Navy officer who claimed to have seen Amy in a brothel, and another from a Canadian tourist who said a distressed woman told her she was Amy Bradley, keep the door cracked open to hope. These aren't just wishful whispers, they're detailed, emotionally charged accounts that defy easy dismissal. What makes this theory harder to ignore is that none of the alleged sightings ever seemed like attention-seeking hoaxes. Many came from credible individuals with no connection to the family or the case, and while none were ever confirmed with absolute certainty, they share chilling consistencies. A woman matching Amy's description, appearing scared, disoriented, and possibly controlled. In one instance, the woman even tried to say her name before being pulled away. These aren't just eerie coincidences, they feel like cries for help that were never fully followed through. If Amy is still alive, it means she may have been trapped in a system designed to keep her invisible. Human trafficking is built on silencing its victims, moving them, erasing identities. And if Amy was caught in that world, survival wouldn't just be a miracle, it would be a testament to her willpower. The latest evidence may not be concrete, but it keeps the question alive. Until there's a body, until there's proof, this case isn't closed. And for many, the hope remains that Amy Bradley's story isn't over yet. In a case as complex and emotionally charged as Amy Bradley's, every theory feels like a lifeline, and every missed lead feels like a door slammed shut. But the story isn't frozen in time. With the spotlight back on and disturbing new questions rising to the surface, we're forced to ask, was this ever just a disappearance, or was it a global failure to protect one of our own? Until there are real answers, until the final piece falls into place, this isn't just a story to revisit, it's one we have to keep alive. Because the truth may be buried deep, but it's not gone. And maybe, just maybe, Amy isn't either.